If social media was around in your childhood, what embarrassing moment would you be famous for? Pooping on the floor between arcade games at age 7. So I won't lose my place in line to play Gauntlet. I lost my place in line. I wonder why. Poop wasn't big enough. Putting toilet paper in my butt like a horsetail and running around the house naked with cups as hooves. I'm sure there is a picture, but I have no access to that. It's okay. The picture in my head made up for the one unaccounted for. How do I delete a picture in someone else's head? In 5th grade I was in a school musical production where in one song I was the Booby Woody reindeer, and during the song I was supposed to dance. Well, my mom had just showed me the movie Coyote Ugly, so I thought the best course of action was to dance like the girls in that movie. I'm sure there's still a home video out there of the 5th grade boy dancing like a stripper. Oh, I've got a good one. I was 7 years old and my parents were hosting a family and friends gathering at home. I mostly stayed out of the way and played video games in the living room, and adults would ask me what I was playing and whatever. It was nice. A few hours into the party I wanted some soda. I go to the fridge and see one of those little ice breaking hammers and proceed to stick my tongue to it like the cartoons did to have a laugh. I pulled it off immediately and there was blood everywhere. I ran out crying with my bloody tongue out, to the absolute horror of every single adult. Now, you'd think this would be the viral moment. But no. A family friend that was a doctor was there, and he came over to me, saw my tongue, and told me it's fine. I just need you to spit out some blood so I can get a better look. Apostrophe. I proceeded to spit my mouth full of blood just straight to his face. Every single person that saw it lost their shit laughing. Even the doctor. Did you lost your taste on foods? Or it was completely fine? Oh. I was absolutely fine. Tongue healed in a couple of days and all I got to eat was cold food. Not embarrassing, but I ruined a magic show once. The magician said he needed a good kid to help him. I declared myself a good kid and walked on stage. I then proceeded to ruin the trick by pointing out the ball he made disappear was behind a table. He then sent me away. Something similar happened to me. I didn't ruin the trick, but magic was ruined for me when the magician asked me to help him on stage and secretly shoved a supposedly teleporting object in my hand. I was baffled and just went along with it, but my disappointment was immeasurable. This is actually how most audience participation magic works. A plant is usually pretty obvious, and more importantly, unnecessary, when out under immediate pressure with simple instructions in front of many people. You're just naturally going to want it to go smoothly. It might even take you a second or two to realize you've agreed to the charade. Was in choir and had an upset stomach, so was laying down while everyone else was practicing. Adults thought I was faking it, so made me get up and sing with everyone. A few minutes later I puked all over another kid. They let me go home after that. Oh god, I'm sorry. Mine was similar. Mum thought I was faking and still took me to the Lame Nature Walk when I said my stomach really hurt. Kids Club were on a trip there and all stopped to watch me throw up everywhere repeatedly for a while. It was so embarrassing. Similar here. My teacher thought I was being picky about eating peas and sweet corn, so force fed me all of them, and I threw up, but caught it in my mouth. So I laid it out gently in a circle around my plate. It was quite thick. I got to go home after that, but I have hated peas and sweet corn ever since. Trying to impress my crush by showing him how high I could kick, I slipped and broke my wrist. Not before landing directly into your crush's arms, am I right? I, 14 meters at the time, was at my sister's hockey banquet. 300 girls, babes, in attendance. As the speaker approached the podium, Don Cherry for you hockey fans. I was leaning back on my chair. Indeed, I leaned too far. I began to fall back on the chair and grabbed the tablecloth to hang on to. I ended up pulling the entire KFC food party banquet food onto my head and lap, gravy included. My elbows also hit the piano keys behind me, making a massive B-flat note throughout the gymnasium. When Mr. Cherry got to the microphone, he said, "Thank you, maestro." I died a little that day. I was at the airport. Hadn't seen my dad since I got back. Saw a guy with a blazer like my dad's. Jumped onto this random stranger's back as he's looking for his luggage. He must have been so confused. At least you didn't get on the wrong plane and end up in New York. Extreme camel toe doing a Barbie girl number at the talent show. First time Barbie ever had something between the legs. Certified not Barbie. Farting in my dad's face after asking him to check out a lump on my butt. I don't know how old you are, but you'll likely be getting crap about that until your dying day. Not a moment, but years. With a perm. You're lucky that perms, despite their name, aren't permanent. I shit myself as a 6-year-old girl at the mall. I farted in the shoe store, and my sister thought it was absolutely hilarious. Again, she exclaimed as I forced to follow up fart out. In complete hysterics now. Again, she cackled. Another fart. She was laughing so hard she was nearly in tears. Again. Exclamation mark. Exclamation mark. Exclamation mark. Exclamation mark. Exclamation mark. Apostrophe. Although I no longer had any gas, I pushed as hard as I could, determined to make my sister laugh even harder. Then, a moment too late, I noticed I was shitting myself. I can only imagine my sister would have been filming on her iPhone, had they been available in the 90s. Your sister sounds so interesting. A GAIN. When I was around 4 years old, I would get cheeky often and do things I wasn't allowed to do. When my parents asked me if I did something, I would lie, but it would be very obvious. When they confronted me about it, I asked how they knew. My mother said that a big, red circle would appear on my forehead whenever I lied. Afterwards my parents asked me again if I did said thing. Me, thinking I was an absolute genius, would fassap on my forehead and deny everything. At only 4 years old, this would have been famous cause it would have been adorable. At least not mortifyingly embarrassing. I had a stomach bug once in middle school, and the ducking nurse didn't believe me. I may have cried wolf before. I suffered through school all day until finally my last period. We were taking a test and I asked my teacher if I could go to the bathroom, and before I could finish speaking I projectile vomited over her shoulder, and mostly into the trash can. The jock in the class was like, "Whoa, your throw up looks like Sprite." And even in my stupor I was like, "What the duck?" Question mark? My teacher made the horse girl walk me to the nurse with the soiled trash bin, and horse girl was actually super cool about it. Told me not to be embarrassed and took my mind off it by talking about horses. Classic horse girl. Always there when you need her. My friend and I used to choreograph dances for various songs, Barbie Girl being one of our best, and record it on her dad's video camera. I hope to God no one ever finds those tapes. That's not too bad. Especially when you consider most young kids are doing the same thing now with cringy TikTok dances. Sadly, those videos will inevitably haunt the internet for eternity. When those kids grow, there will be no hiding. My friend and I thought it would be fun to recreate Jackass and title it Jack Butt. We were like 11 to 12. Instead of doing anything actually dangerous, we would take the truck/wheels off our skateboard and do stupid tricks on a trampoline and then make a hand signal and yell Jack Butt at the camera. I'm glad the recording on VHS was lost to the world. I hope it turns up at a garage sale sometime and make their way to its proper place online. Jack Butt! Exclamation mark. When I cut my own bangs, it was bad. Oh god. Home haircuts. You'd think I'd have learned. I had so many god-awful haircuts, including bangs that were half an inch long and just sort of stuck out from my hairline. So I ended up with lots of pretty hair clips and headbands. My mom took a lot of pictures of me crying when I was young. I was a teenager when I found them, and even then I was all WTF. I'm positive that they would all be on SM. It was complicated. No, I do not know why she did it. I do know that I received the least of the questionable interactions of all my siblings. I prefer to think that I was a beautiful toddler who cried gracefully. What ya gonna do? Did you just maybe cry a lot more than your siblings? We always joke about my cousin, that no matter which group photo we have with her in it she's always crying. Maybe. I wouldn't count it out. All the photos are of me alone. No one else is in the photo. In my first sex ed class, we were talking about what happens when you go through puberty, starting with girls. A girl from the back raises her hand and says, "You get boobs." I raise my hand. "What are boobs?" Apostrophe. To explain. I was very isolated. We had no TV at home. And the word boob just simply wasn't in our vocabulary. Plus, this was shortly after switching schools and languages. But let's not kid ourselves. This would have been all over social media regardless. Nash, it's pretty normal. I learned in the middle of 7th grade science class that girls have more than one hole down there. The time I drank a whole bottle of ketchup and proceeded to throw it all up. Then my mom walked in and thought I was vomiting blood and screamed. I was maybe 3 years old, but still remember that. Your poor mom. I'm sure that was terrifying at the time, but hilarious in hindsight. Moved houses and my brother's room was where the old bathroom was. Sleep walked in and peed right in his face, asserting dominance. Imagine being the mom and hearing your kid scream in the middle of the night, "Ew, sibling just peed all over me." Like, what do you do as a parent in that situation? Was in a shopping mall when I heard someone say my name. At least it sounded like my name. I looked up from my phone to see this pretty girl walking towards me with outstretched arms and a smile. She looked so familiar, like someone I knew from my high school. So of course my dumb, nearsighted self, who didn't want to second guess his good fortune, opened his arms wide to receive and reciprocate the hug. She sidestepped around me neatly like a ballerina ninja and delivered the hug to its rightful owner, who was right behind me in my blind spot, leaving me fumbling to play off the most embarrassing moment of my life. I still cringe when I think about this. That is cringeworthy. I can't stop laughing. I'm sorry. Please click subscribe if you enjoyed this video.